Hello and welcome to the final chapter of Skulduggery Pleasant, entitled A End, A Beginning. Somewhere in Haggard, a dog was barking. Somewhere a driver beeped his horn, and somewhere else people were laughing. It was a Friday night, and music drifted into Stephanie's open window from the bars and pubs on Main Street. Snatches of songs piggybacking on the warm breeze. Stephanie sat in her swiveled chair, her foot resting on the bed. Skulduggery had taken her to a friend of his, a cantankerous old man who had mended her broken leg within an hour. It was still stiff and she couldn't walk on it, but the bruising had gone down, and in another few days it would be like it had never been broken at all. She didn't mind the recuperation period she had been advised to take. After the week she'd just had, a week in which she'd seen wonder and magic and death and destruction, she could do with a little holiday. Skulduggery Pleasant sat on the windowsill and told her what was happening in the world outside her bedroom. The White Cleaver had vanished, and they still didn't know why or even how he had ignored his master's final command. Skulduggery had a suspicion that he was under orders from somebody else, but just who this mystery master was, he didn't yet know. Serpine's allies had resurfaced and struck, and then vanished again when the news of the sorcerer's demise had reached them. Serpine's grand scheme may have failed, but because of it, the Cleaver's numbers had been decimated, and their duties now stretched them thin. "How's Tanith?" Stephanie asked. "Will she be okay?" "She's lucky to be alive. The injury she took was severe, but she's strong. She'll pull through. I'll take you to see her when you're rested." "And Ghastly? Any change?" "I'm afraid not. They're keeping him safe, but we don't know how long he'll stay like that. Fortunately for him, the time will pass in the blink of an eye. The rest of us will have to wait on the bright side. The sanctuary has a new and interesting addition to their hall of statues." "Do they have a hall of statues?" "Well, no, but now that they've got a statue, maybe they'll start." "What are you going to do about the Outer Council?" "Meritorious was a good man, and the most powerful grand mage we had seen in a long time. The other councils in Europe are worried about who will fill the vacuum now that he's gone. The Americans have offered their support. The Japanese are sending delegates to help us wrest back some control, but it sounds like a lot of people are panicking." "And they might have a right to. Our systems of self-government are delicate. If we topple, others will follow. We need a strong leader." "Why don't you do it?" He laughed. "Because I'm not well liked, and I'm not well trusted, and I already have a job. I'm a detective, remember?" She gave her own little shrug. "Vaguely." Another snippet of pub music drifted by the window, and Stephanie thought about the world she'd grown up in, and how different it was from the world she'd been introduced to, and yet how similar. There was joy and happiness in both, just as there was heartbreak and horror. There was good and evil, and everything in between. And these qualities seemed to be shared equally in the worlds of magical and mundane. It was her life now. She couldn't imagine living without either one. "How are you?" Skulduggery asked, his voice gently. "Me? I'm fine." "Really? No nightmares?" "Maybe one or two," she admitted. "They'll always be there, reminding us of where we went wrong. If you pay attention to your bad dreams, they can help you." "I'll be sure to keep that in mind next time I'm asleep." "Good," said Skulduggery. "In any event, get well soon. We have mysteries to solve and adventures to undertake. And I need my partner, and student with me. Student? He shrugged. Things are going to get a lot rougher from here on out, and I need someone to fight by my side. There's something about you, Valkyrie. I'm not quite sure what it is. I look at you and you're reminded of yourself when you were my age. Hmm? Oh, no. What I was going to say is there's something about you that is really annoying, and you never do what you're told, and sometimes I question your intelligence, but even so, I'm going to train you, because I like having someone follow me around like a little puppy. It makes me feel good about myself. She rolled her eyes. You're such a moron. Don't be jealous of my genius. Can you get over yourself for just a moment? If only that were possible. For a guy with no internal organs, you've got quite the ego. And for a girl who can't stand up without falling over, you're quite the critic. My leg will be fine, and my ego will flourish. What a pair we are. She had to laugh. Go on, get out. Mom will be up soon to check on me. Before I go. Yes? Aren't you going to show me what you've been practicing? You've been dying to show off from the moment I knocked on this window? Stephanie looked at him and arched a brow. But he was right, and he knew it. The other good thing about this recuperation period was that she had all the time she wanted to develop her powers, and she hadn't wasted the few days that had passed already. She clicked her fingers, summoning a small flame into the palm of her hand. She watched it flicker and dance, then looked up at Skulduggery, and he grinned. Magic, he said. And that is the end of Skulduggery Pleasant, the first installment of the Skulduggery Pleasant series. And what I have next is Skulduggery Pleasant Playing with Fire, which is the second installment in the series, in which the cover, if I can do it justice, is both Skulduggery Pleasant and Valkyrie Kane back to back, summoning fireballs into their hands. So, in the back is of a hulking man with stitches around his shoulders, biceps, and wrists, and bandages around his head and waist area, and that's where the book cuts it off. But it makes me curious as to who the next villain will be, because, as I said in the past, it's been a while since I've read these books, so I don't exactly remember who the next villain will be. But in this book, there are 43 chapters. Well, actually, 42, because I just remembered, if you pick up Skulduggery Pleasant Playing with Fire, there are 42 chapters because it jumps from 41 to 43. So this should be an interesting read in that I don't know whether to call it chapter 42 or 43. But until then, thank you guys so much for listening to this one. If you liked it, you know what to do. Keep things crazy, and I'll see you guys in the next one.